Okay, so yesterday I started trigger. What is trigger? How we write it? Okay, and I discussed about all the trigger events. Okay, trigger events like DML event which we have. Okay, then I discuss all the context variable which are in Salesforce. Okay, so we have some list type of variable like trigger dot new, trigger dot old. These are the list type of variable. We have a map type of variable trigger dot you can say new map and old map. We have boolean type of variable also. Boolean means we will get true or false value. Is after, is before, is delete. These are the boolean type of value. We will get true in this variable if we are executing the code at the time of insert. Okay, update, delete. So that time we will get true value. So these are the context variable. Now I'm gonna start the session and we will create some trigger. Okay, so yesterday I told you means whenever you will create the trigger, whenever you will create the trigger, so why trigger? You will give the automation. Okay, you will provide the automation and you can create validation rule also. Okay, so to provide the automation, yeah, to create the validation rule, you have to write the logic. You have to write the logic. So logic where you will write, you will write in helper class. Logic you will not write in trigger, you will write in helper class. So what I'm doing, I have one scenario. I have one scenario that is okay. Let's suppose we have to write a trigger. Okay, so we have to write a trigger on lead object. Okay, and we have to populate some data in lead object. So going to create new lead, name, last name, company are important, lead source, web, industry. Okay, rating. So write a trigger on lead object whenever we will insert the data. So in lead source, so lead source should be, you can say web. Rating should be called and industry should be banking. So whenever we will insert the lead record, so automatically some data should be populated in lead source field, rating and industry. Okay, we will not enter the data in lead source, rating, industry. It should be automatically populated. So how can we handle it? We can handle it with the help of trigger. Okay, So we will handle it with trigger. So it's the question which we will complete by trigger. Okay, then I'm going to achieve it. Okay, so I'm going to create the trigger on lead object. So simple, go to the file, click on new, click on trigger, create trigger on lead object. So I'm writing first trigger on lead, and then going to select the lead, you can say object. It's the trigger name and on which object you want to execute the trigger. You have to select. So I want to execute it on lead object, then clicking on submit button. Okay, after clicking on submit button, so we will get some code. Okay, if you want to add another functionality, you can add it. Okay, so I want to populate the data. I want to populate the data. So when you want to populate the data, which event you will use, before or after?
Before.
Yeah. So whenever you will, how you will identify, we have to use before, yeah, after. If you have to populate the data, you have to populate the data, use before. You have to populate the data, use before trigger. ठीक है? If you have to populate the data on same object, on same object, so use before trigger. Okay, you have to populate the data, or you can say you have to write the validation rule on same object. So always you will use before. ठीक है, हमेशा हमें बिफोर यूज करना है कि हम सेम ऑब्जेक्ट पे, ठीक है, कोई डेटा को पॉपुलेट कर रहे हैं या हम कोई वैलिडेशन रूल लगा रहे हैं। ठीक है, नेक्स्ट इज आफ्टर. When we will use the after trigger, if you have to populate the data on child object, so that time you have to use after trigger. Okay, if you have to populate the data on child object, yeah, you have to create a child object record, or you can say you have to write the validation rule. You have to write the validation rule in child object. So that time which trigger you will use? After trigger. ठीक है, if I'll say I am writing the trigger on account, and what I have to do when I'll create the contact related to account, whenever I'll create the contact related to account, ठीक है, that time I want description should be account description of contact should be account description. ठीक है, so what we will do, we will use after trigger. ठीक है, so it's a way to identify it. Now what is our requirement? We have to write a trigger and we have to populate the data. तो populate कौन से ऑब्जेक्ट में करें? सेम ऑब्जेक्ट में. तो आंख बंद करके हमें बिफोर करना है. ठीक है, कब एग्जीक्यूट होना है? इंसर्ट के टाइम पे. सो कोड इज करेक्ट. ओके, so we can have many events here. before insert, before update like that, after insert, after update. So we can have many events. Okay. So I want to execute my code in before insert event. So how we will write it? For that we will use context variable. If trigger dot is before and trigger dot is after, sorry, is insert. Trigger dot is before and trigger dot is insert. That time I want to execute the logic. Take a what logic? Populating data. That logic. So logic we will not write in triggers. So what we have to do? We have to create helper class. We have to create helper class. So I'm going to create helper. Okay. I'm going to create helper class. So whenever you will create the helper class, try to add helper as a extension. Try to add helper as a extension. It's a good approach. From that, we can easily identify it's the helper class of the trigger. Okay. It's the helper class of the trigger. So I'm going to create it. Okay. So then I'm going to write the logic. So whenever, whenever you will, you can say whenever you will, where you will write the logic in class in method. So whenever you will create the method for trigger, so method should be static. Okay, there should not any return type, and you can write any method. So I'm writing before insert method. Any method name you can write. Okay. So here what will happen? You will get the record. So let's suppose we have some data in database. Okay, we have some data into database. Name, phone. So it is the data in database. And we have some name. Okay, so we have some data in database. So I'm gonna write the data. Okay, so it's the data which are in database. Now what we are doing, we are going to create new record. So when we will create the new record, so what we will do, we will enter the name. Okay, we will enter the phone, email, and other. Okay, we have also two button, that is save and second which we have, that is cancel. Okay, we have save and cancel button. You can say we have UI like that. We have UI like that. Okay, so what I have done, when we will create the UI, sorry, when we will create the record, that time UI will look like that. Save button, cancel button, and we will insert the record. Okay, we will insert the record. So when I'll insert the record, where it will go first? It will go in database or somewhere else it will go. If trigger is executing,
Trigger.new.
yeah, trigger dot new. Okay, so if I am entering some data here like name, phone number, and I'm clicking on save button. So on click of save button, record will not get inserted into database. Record will not get inserted into database. Okay, where it will go? It will go in trigger dot new. First, it will go in trigger dot new. ठीक है, when you will insert the record and when you will update the record, whenever you will update the record, you will open the record, you will click on edit button, data will look like that, and after that you will update the information of phone number, then again you will click on the save button. So when you will click on the save button, so that information first where it will go, it will go in trigger dot new. Okay, what is trigger dot new? We know it's a list type of information, list of new record, या एस ऑब्जेक्ट। एस ऑब्जेक्ट का मतलब लिस्ट ऑफ अकाउंट, लिस्ट ऑफ अकाउंट वी विल गेट, या लिस्ट ऑफ कॉन्टैक्ट, अगर कॉन्टैक्ट पर ट्रिगर है तो कॉन्टैक्ट आएंगे, अकाउंट है। बट ऑलवेज आई क्रिएट वन रिकॉर्ड, ऑलवेज आई क्रिएट वन रिकॉर्ड। सो व्हाई here I am getting list, why I am not getting s object, why it's a list type of variable, why it's not a, you can say, s object type of variable। ठीक है, क्योंकि रिकॉर्ड तो हम हमेशा एक क्रिएट करेंगे, एक रिकॉर्ड इसमें जाना चाहिए, एक रिकॉर्ड वी वेयर वी कैन स्टोर इन एस ऑब्जेक्ट, देन वी कैन सेंड इन डेटाबेस व्हाई इट इज अ लिस्ट ऑफ एस ऑब्जेक्ट। सो व्हाई इट इज a list of s object means, let's suppose if we are getting multiple record, ठीक है, if we are getting too much records, okay, so too much records we can get via data loader or data import wizard, okay, workbench. So there are many tools. So from these tools, what we are doing, we are inserting the record. So if we are inserting the record, so that time, if we are inserting 1000 records, so 1000 record will come. And if 1000 record will come, so first we have to, ठीक है, what we have to do, we have to fire the trigger directly. They should not save into database. We have to fire the trigger. Okay. So first they will store in trigger.new variable. So all 1000 record will store in trigger.new variable. Then we will iterate one by one. Then it will go into database. Okay. So what we are doing, whenever we will create the record, and there is one field company, and it's a read only field. Okay. Read only field means you can't enter the data. It's a disable. So what I have done, I have written the logic in trigger when we will insert the record. So automatically company would be Grovia. In trigger, I have written the logic. Company will be Grovia. ठीक है. So Goransu record I am trying to insert. When I'll click on the save button, it will come in trigger.new. Then we will iterate it. ठीक है. Logic will execute. Company it will be Grovia. So in record, what we will get? Here we will get Goransu as a record, phone number 999, and automatically we will get Grovia as a company. Okay. So in every record, trigger will execute. So automatically Grovia will come. When we will insert Tushar, so it will come in trigger.new, then iterate, then Grovia will come. ठीक है. सो इट्स अ बेनिफिट ऑफ trigger.new. सभी को समझ में आ गया डिटेल में trigger.new क्या होता है, कैसे वर्क करता है ये, डेटाबेस से पहले वर्क करता है बाद में? किसी को कोई डाउट है यहाँ? Do you have any doubt in trigger.new how it is working?
No, sir.
Good. So what I'm doing, I'm going to complete the scenario. So I have created one method in helper class. Here I'll get list type of information. ठीक है. I'll get list type of information of lead. So list of lead list. ठीक है. हम कभी हमें एक रिकॉर्ड भी आ सकता है, बट ऐसी सिचुएशन भी हो सकती है जहाँ पे हमें मल्टीपल रिकॉर्ड्स आ रहे हैं, तो हमें ट्रिगर हमेशा बल्कीफाई लिखना है. वी हैव टू राइट बल्कीफाई ट्रिगर. ओके. सारे सिनेरियो लेके चलने हैं कि एक रिकॉर्ड आ रहा है तो भी एग्जीक्यूट हो, मल्टीपल आ रहे हैं तो भी. तो इसलिए हम ट्रिगर डॉट न्यू दे रखा है. इस सारे ट्रिगर बल्कीफाई होंगे. ओके. सो रिकॉर्ड विल कम इन लीड लिस्ट. हाउ रिकॉर्ड विल कम? First we have to call the helper class in trigger, then record will come. So here I'm going to call helper class and the method of the helper class. So it's a static type of method. So to call the static type of method, we have to write the class name dot static method name. Okay. In static method, we are passing parameter. ठीक है. वी आर पासिंग पैरामीटर. तो जब भी हम बिफोर इंसर्ट मेथड कॉल कराएंगे, इस पैरामीटर में वैल्यू भेजनी मैंडेटरी है. It's a mandatory to send the data in this parameter. So what we are doing, we are sending new record. Whenever user will insert the new record, these records should be come and we are sending here. ठीक है. तो हमने ट्रिगर में कॉल करा दिया, ट्रिगर अपने आप एग्जीक्यूट होएगा. इन ट्रिगर वी आर कॉलिंग दिस क्लास, दिस मेथड, वी आर सेंडिंग द न्यू record data. Then you can write the logic. So where lead L, lead list, what it should be, L dot rating called. Next, what was lead source? It should be web and industry should be banking. L dot industry should be banking. So when I'll insert the record, whenever I will insert the record will come in trigger dot new. Then we are sending in this list, lead list. Then we are iterating. This logic will execute. Then trigger will save. Sorry, record will save into database. So now we are checking this functionality is working well or not. Simple. I am not populating any data in lead source, industry, and rating. Clicking on save button and checking I am getting the data or not in this field. So industry, banking, lead source, web, rating called. Yeah, I'm getting the data. So data is automatically populating. Okay. So it's the example of before insert. So do you have any doubt in this scenario? How it is working? How complete code is working? If you have, you can ask.
So in this code where you have write the company is equals to Grovia.
कंपनी नहीं लिखा, कंपनी आ रहा है क्या ग्रोविया? कंपनी
हाँ
इज द
क्योंकि कंपनी का
मैंडेटरी फील्ड।
मैंडेट फील्ड है ना।
हाँ,
हाँ तो
कंपनी इज
वो
द
कैसे?
मैंडेटरी फील्ड। आई हैव मैनुअली पॉपुलेटेड द डेटा। वो मैनुअली पॉपुलेट किया था मैंने।
ठीक है।
या एनी अदर पार्टिसिपेंट्स, डू यू हैव एनी क्वेरी?
सर बिफोर में हम डीएमएल नहीं करते।
ठीक है, बिफोर में हम डीएमएल नहीं करते हैं ऑन सेम ऑब्जेक्ट या किसी भी ऑब्जेक्ट पे।
ऑन सेम ऑब्जेक्ट आई।
हम्म सेम ऑब्जेक्ट पे कभी भी डीएमएल नहीं करेंगे, क्योंकि why we will write the insert lead, insert and whatever. Okay, is it why we will write it? Because if we are creating the lead record, if I'm creating lead record, so here I'm clicking on save button. Save button means internal functionality या internal coding. What is executing? Insert is executing. So there is no need to write the insert lead here, because on click of save button, insert is executing. ठीक है, सभी को ओके है ये सिनेरियो? तो आगे चलें।
यस सर।
Yeah, good. Okay, so now I'm going to take next scenario, and let me write it. So I want to, whenever I'll create, you can say account record. Okay, so whenever we will create account record, and if industry is banking, so rating should be called, ownership should be private, active should be no. Okay, active should be no, rating done. Yeah, type should be prospect. Type should be prospect. Okay, whenever we will create account record, if industry is banking, so rating should be called, ownership should be private. Okay, else if industry is not banking, so what should be happen? Rating should be called, ownership should, sorry, rating should be or ownership should be public, and active should be yes, type should be new customer. Okay, there is no new customer, type should be other. Okay, so it's a second scenario. We have to write the trigger. Okay, write a trigger whenever we will create account record. So this should be happen. So first question, on which object we have to write the trigger?
account.
ठीक है, we have to write the trigger on account. Trigger event which we have to use, insert, update, delete. ठीक है, then we will
Insert.
insert. Okay, which trigger we have to
Insert.
use? Means before trigger या
Before.
after trigger? Why
Before.
before?
Before. On
Why
same
Because
before?
same
object.
object.
Because we are populating the data on same object. ठीक है, हम ऑटोमेशन प्रोवाइड करा रहे हैं कि इंडस्ट्री अगर बैंकिंग है तो ये इन्फॉर्मेशन होनी चाहिए। ठीक है, सो ठीक है, हाँ हमें तीन चीज देखनी थी कि ऑब्जेक्ट कौन सा, इवेंट हमें मिलेगा। नाउ वी हैव टू राइट द लॉजिक। ओके, सिंपल, गो टू द कोड, क्रिएट ट्रिगर, सेकंड ट्रिगर ऑन अकाउंट, and whenever you will create the trigger, so what's the good approach? Create one helper class. So I'm going to create one helper class, and add helper as extension. Whenever you will create the helper class, create one static type of method, public static void. Okay, so before insert method, and here we will get new record. So list of account, ACC list. Then we have to go in second trigger. We have to write the logic. If trigger dot is before and trigger dot is insert. So if trigger is before and insert, I want to call this class. I want to call this class. Then I want to call the method. Then pass the variable trigger dot new. So first, which means you have to save the trigger या class. So first you have to save the class. Okay, if there is some error in class, you can't save the trigger. If there is no error in class, you can save the trigger. Okay, so you will get error message if there is some error in class. So first try to save the class, then save the trigger. Okay, now I'm going to write the logic. So I'm going to iterate the record. So for account ACC list. So then I'm writing condition. If ACC dot industry is equal to banking. If industry is banking. So what should be happen? I'm going to write. Then we will write also else condition. So industry is banking, that time rating should be called ownership should be private, active should be no, and then we have type should be prospect. Okay, and if industry is not banking, so else part should be execute. So rating should be hot,
Sir, I think
ownership should
active
be
is true and false.
public, active should be yes, and type should be other. Okay, I'm going to save the code. Okay, I have saved the code logic I have written, calling it in trigger. So when we will save the trigger, so that trigger will automatically active. That trigger will automatically active. So what I'm doing, I'm going to create one account record. Record 2. I am entering record to name and industry as banking. So if I'm selecting industry as a banking, and click on save button. So I'm checking code is working or not. Okay, trigger is working or not. Type prospect, industry banking. Yeah, code is working. Active, no. Okay, what I'm doing, I am again clicking on no but new button, name, record 3, type, sorry, not type, industry, I'm selecting another one. So that time, ownerships, rating should be hot, ownership should be public, and type should be other, and active should be yes. So active is the picklist field in which we will get no and yes value. ठीक है, code is executing. So if on the basis of condition, you have to write the logic. So that time it's a way to write the logic. ठीक है, जैसे हमने पॉइंट एंड क्लिक अप्रोच से किया था, अगर स्टूडेंट फर्स्ट ईयर से है तो एचओडी कौन होना चाहिए, मिस्टर ए। अगर स्टूडेंट सेकंड ईयर का है तो मिस्टर बी एचओडी होना चाहिए, स्टूडेंट सेकंड ईयर थर्ड ईयर का है तो मिस्टर सी, फाइनल ईयर का है तो मिस्टर डी एचओडी होना चाहिए। तो वो चीज़ हम ऐसे हैंडल करेंगे। इफ एसीसी डॉट स्टूडेंट ईयर इज इक्वल टू फर्स्ट ईयर, तो एसीसी डॉट एचओडी मिस्टर ए, एल्सिफ, एल्सिफ चार